Welcome back. In the last lesson we looked at computer memory, which stores instructions and data using electricity. In this lesson we'll look at storage, which stores and retains this information in some form that doesn't require a constant electrical supply. In this lesson we'll briefly review what storage means. We'll look at some different technologies, different types of storage, and think about how we would select the correct storage for a given activity. Storage used to be called secondary storage, but mostly we just call it storage nowadays. Storage is any method that retains digital data but without using electricity. It is slower for the processor to access information in storage compared to in RAM, but of course the big advantage is it isn't lost. The data isn't lost when the computer is switched off. So storage must retain the on-off digital binary signals that make up computer data in a form that can be read by the computer processor, but in a form which does not require a constant electrical supply. In order to clarify, let's make it clear what the difference between a storage medium and a storage device is. The storage medium is whatever substance literally holds the data, and the storage device is the piece of hardware that lets us read and write to that storage medium. Sometimes they're brought together into one object, but that's the meaning of those two terms. I want to quickly go through three different types of storage: magnetic storage, optical storage, and flash, sometimes called flash memory or solid state storage. Magnetic storage is when the on-off signals are stored using magnets, microscopic magnets. A magnetic disk is typically coated with very tiny iron particles, and when electricity is sent into that disk, the electricity turns each particle into a tiny magnet. And as you know, magnets have got a north and south pole, so depending on whether it's facing the north side up or the south side up, that's how you store the ones and noughts. So each microscopic iron particle stores a single bit. That's just a picture of the different parts of the hard disk. In optical storage, by contrast, the bits of data are stored using pits or holes that are burned into the surface of a kind of plastic substance by a laser. A hot laser burns the pits into the surface, and a much gentler laser will bounce off the surface when we read the disk and detect the presence of the pits. The smaller the holes, the more data you can get into the available space. So DVDs have got smaller pits than CDs, and Blu-ray devices are even smaller, and that means you can store more information on a Blu-ray disc than on a CD. Typically CDs and Blu-rays and so on are read-only. You can get a read-write version, and that's a surface that can be melted so that the pits are like wiped out and you can start again. But mostly we buy data on CD or DVD that we don't want to overwrite. For instance, a movie, a Hollywood movie. And the third storage technology that I want to review is flash storage. Flash storage uses electrons, so it's much more compact than other forms of storage. As you know, if you do physics, each electron carries a very small negative electrical charge. When we store data in flash storage, a flash of electricity pumps the electrons through a layer of insulation. Then the electricity goes away and the electrons are trapped on the other side of the insulation. They don't have enough energy to get back down. So the trapped electrons give the substrate a slightly negative electrical charge, and that is how the data is stored. Flash is the most modern of the three forms of storage, and it's got a lot of advantages. Because it uses electrons, it's very small and light and portable, while having a very high capacity and very easy read-write access. For this reason, it really beats the other forms of storage, more or less hands down. The only real disadvantage of flash storage is that it can be more expensive. Magnetic and optical storage is still used. Magnetic hard disk drives are found in most computers at the time I'm recording this. They may move increasingly to flash, or also called solid state storage. That's flash storage, it's the same thing. And optical devices, CDs and DVDs, they are still used to sell multimedia content. To recap, if you've been paying attention in this lesson, you should be able to say what storage is. You should be able to briefly discuss the three different types of storage and choose the right storage for a given scenario. On the whole, I would say that flash is nearly always your right choice, apart from if you want high capacity, very cheap storage, for instance, to make a backup. But we'll talk more about that next lesson. So finish the hardware workbook with the final section on storage. I've got one more lesson in this series where I want to talk about some of the issues around the uses of storage. So see you then. Bye for now.